Hey guys, this is Tyler. As always, got some B-roll here because I'm sweaty and gross from the gym, and I think it'll be relevant to what we're talking about today. I got a comment on the last video from a Leopold Z who says, quote, I think having a high attribute means you put effort into it. A 16 strength means intense strength training. One one int a solid education. I assume he meant 16 int a solid education, and so on. For me, it makes sense that skills are pretty wide. Training in a sport will generally make you better at other sports, for example, but I do agree with starting with mechanics. I notice a difference in excitement for players who do this and people who start with the character concept. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for leaving the comment, Leopold. And we got into the discussions about it, and it helped me sort of refine my beliefs on the difference between attributes and skills. So, hopefully, this B roll will give you some ideas here of pay attention to what I'm doing here and what this has to do with swimming. Not a whole lot, right? There aren't really any movements that bear a whole lot of resemblance to swimming. Not even really running. Our stance is constantly changing. Which leg is forward, which leg is back. It's stuttery. It's not normal. I'm often heel striking, though you can't see that, and that's pretty much something only ultramarathon runners do. My cardiovascular health and my muscle fatigue, sure, you could argue that's constitution, stamina, whatever your game uses. But, but, even then, even when there is some athletic crossover, the muscles are not fatiguing in the same way with different sports and different movements. I have taught a lot of people who are in other clubs, the judo club here on campus, guy in the rowing club, super athletic. He is indefatigable. He was in the rowing club, judo club, MMA club, and in my HEMA club. There is an example of somebody that's maxing out physical stats. But by and large, the people that are really good at one sport, uh, they don't have any knowledge of this sport. The ability to transfer your skills or your physical attributes, the ability to leverage your strength for tennis versus wrestling, for soccer versus karate, is entirely what the skill is about. The skill is about having the knowledge of how to move your body in a given way, in what context you are using the movement. You can see here I am really just trying to torch my core and my thighs by winding, seeing that the what I thought was a feint was actually real. So going right back, bailing on my wind and going right back to the same position to block it at the last second. Really just hammering those twitch muscle fibers. Going back to the attack. Big, deep steps. Even other martial arts don't really utilize this movement too much. This big, long passing step where the line of attack is a foot behind me, basically. It's a sort of a variant on a Kaneko Hao. So, yeah, the skills are effectively the knowledge, the context of how to use this ability. You may be the strongest guy in the world, and if you just try to rip someone's ankle off without any knowledge of the structure of ankle locks or even how to grab someone properly, right? Like, I don't know how to catch a football. My high school and middle school never had football teams, so I would be absolutely demolished in football, not just for my stature, but because I don't know the rules of football incredibly well. I would probably get out of bounds and fouled all the time. But two, I do not have the requisite ability to catch using their equipment, using their techniques. The most I would know is, because I've looked at it, is you hold your hands palms out when it's above your waistline or above your chest line, and palms facing up when it's below your chest line. Sure, that's about all I know. Barring that, none of my skills in sword fighting or karate or catch wrestling are really going to carry over all that much. Being strong is an attribute all itself. It's not a skill to be strong. What's a skill is knowing how to use your strength to move a heavy, awkward object, as in a strongman competition, to move a fixed, regular weight, as in powerlifting, to move a person, as in wrestling. Are the techniques similar? Does the core person often look the same or similar? Yeah. But go ahead and look at a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu athlete. Go look at Mikey Musumeci, and then look at, let's say, let's even compare it to another fighting style, to another fighter. Compare him to Brock Lesnar. These are just different fighting skills. It's both fighting, and they fight in totally different ways, and it leads to their bodies looking totally different. Obviously, we can make a huge discrepancy and look at somebody like Yao Ming, and then look at somebody like Zhang Weili. Uh, Now, Zhang Weili might have her work cut out for her in that fight because there's a huge reach disadvantage, but she would probably win that fight just based on the amount of skill and expertise she has in that field. Why have both? That's where I'm going to end off here. Why have both? Well, because if you don't have a base attribute, even if you're not adding it to whatever the individual skill is, then you need a score in every skill. You can rely on just muscling your way around, just, the whacking somebody with a stick as hard as you can, no real skill in it. And that can just be your flat attribute, your natural predisposition to strength. Likewise, you might want to have your skills actually feed into the attributes. You would have to keep track of what's coming from where, is my one issue with that. It could get quite clunky, could get a little messy. I'm getting towards the end of the video here, so I'm just going to restart my B-roll. It could get quite messy doing it that way, but in that way you don't have an infinite loop where you, I don't know, you increase your unarmed striking skill, and then let's say boxing, pugilism. I can't remember what Call of Cthulhu calls it, and that in turn increases your strength or your stamina or your size even in that game. How about it? Might even decrease your size also though. There's a number of ways you could go about this. You want to make sure that that isn't reflexive and doesn't infinitely affect itself, right? In that way, you could represent some athletic crossover. Okay, well, he's gotten stronger from his boxing training, so he's also gotten better at every other skill that involves strength. But the most elegant way to do this still is just having a base strength score that affects the skills and gives you a baseline level of, you can kind of muscle your way around, bully people in wrestling if you want to. But guy that's smaller than you, that is trained to run, to swim, to climb, to fight, will always outrun, outswim, outclimb, and outfight you. That's just the way it goes. Size absolutely does matter. Strength absolutely matters. Stamina absolutely matters. But sport specific training, skill specific training, cannot be beaten. It's why people do this for a living. People do it for a living, and they pay other people who teach people how to do it for a living. There's a massive economy in learning just how to throw punches, just how to throw a ball. And it's because boxing is a hell of a lot more than just how to throw punches. It's the art of positioning. It's learning how to work around the obnoxious equipment with your thumbs sewn into the gloves. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. There was some consideration on when does it get too granular? What do you have a million skills at the end of the day? Well, no, because Taekwondo is not that different from karate. I know. I just I'm getting my karate black belt revoked now. But uh, all kickboxing is pretty much similar. Um, all grappling is pretty much similar. You have takedown grappling like judo and wrestling, and you have submission grappling like old judo, jujitsu, catch wrestling. So you can cover pretty much all of the hundreds and hundreds of martial arts that exist out there with a few skills. There are only so many ways that the human body can move. For example, I don't think I would have running and endurance running unless that was a big focus. Maybe you have a lot of escape. I think the way to do that is, again, go back to your attributes. Is someone running for a very long time? It's an endurance run. Well, then have it be modified by their stamina, constitution, the appropriate score. If they are doing a dead sprint really, really quick, that one might be your agility or your dexterity or strength, even. Could be strength, just exploding out there, just, trying to bully the pavement into submission. Same thing with swimming, right? Trying to swim for a really long time. Maybe cardio is what's more important there. Whereas if you were trying to do a really short, 50, 100 meters and just try to blast that out as fast as possible, there you go. Your strength is, or agility or dexterity or whatever is probably more important there. The last thing is I would just recommend people go through different movements. Most martial arts schools will offer a free class. Bust out some push ups, see how good you can get at push ups, and then go to a boxing gym and find out how not at all like a push up punching is. Find out how doing push ups will basically not prepare you to fight in any way, shape, or form unless you already know how to punch. If you know how to punch, congrats, you have a point in your fighting skill. Well, hopefully that long, rambly nonsense is helpful to some of you, elucidates some of what I was ruminating on here earlier. Probably shouldn't have made a video this exhausted right after class, but there you go. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.